Hey everybody, happy Tuesday and welcome to the Rig on Wheels show featuring MVT. This is your first ever truck driver recruitment show, and I, of course, am your host, Kameel Gaines, the CEO and founder of Rig on Wheels. And joining me is our favorite VP of recruitment at Missoula Valley. It is Robert Pierson, and we are here for your ultimate destination, for your insights for trucking news, hot jobs, recruitment tips, driver tips, and we're going to be here to make history together. Pierson, I see you are in El Paso. We are so glad you are on our soil here in Texas. Kind of in Texas. I'm in Texas. You're barely in Texas. You're really not.
It's not the worst insult I've gotten.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Texas, okay? I'm Houston. You're really not. You're El Paso. What do they call you guys over there in El Paso? Because you kind of not like one of us.
Yeah, it depends who I'm talking to. It's kind of like Texas is such a big state that honestly, people from Dallas, Fort Worth are different than people from Houston. We're all the way out here in West Texas, which couldn't be more different than the Panhandle, as an example. And then, of course, you have the Republic of Texas, which would be Austin, which is weirder than all of them. And so, yeah, it's a little different. Houston and El Paso, outside of both having a flag with one star, don't have a lot in common.
No, not at all. And don't compare me to those DFW gals. So I am not. I'm a Houston gal. Let me just say, by way of Chicago. But I'm going to let you kick it off with the news, because I, for one, feel like we are perfect in the world this week. But you see that we have news. So let's talk about.
Yeah. It's going to come off as a negative, but I will say that I view it as a positive. And what I mean by that is, in a lot of ways, we're kind of seeing the bottom of what we've seen in this quote unquote freight recession. So as an example, Rush Enterprises boss, that would be Rusty Rush over there, anticipates a slowdown in truck sales next year, with the industry steadily catching up to the backlog of orders. This is a good thing. We have a ton of orders that have been put over the past 18, 24 months that never got fulfilled because the equipment wasn't there. So there's a bit of a catch up there. But what that means is we're starting to see that bottoming out. We have a lot fewer people getting into the spot market, chasing spot market freight, meaning, one truck owner operators. And it's a good thing. There's certain people that should be owner operators. There's other people that there should not be owner operators. But when the rates are real high, every Tom, Dick, and Harry will go out there and decide it's time to start a truck on the spot market. We're hitting a bottom is basically what's happening. And that's a positive thing, because if you can survive that bottom and be better off and stronger for it, you get to reap the benefits of it. It's a long ways away from now, but I think 2025 is going to be a really fun time to be in trucking again. Knock on wood, I can't predict if there's going to be some kind of catastrophic world event or pandemic, but we're seeing that bottom in the valley, which means that, in an 18-month cycle, which trucking always goes through, means that we're starting to turn that corner. And so the slowdown in truck orders, though it is a concern for the OEMs, as an example at this minute, especially Mack Trucks with the recent pay rates they gave to their employees, long term, this points that, hey, we're almost through it. We got to keep shoveling through this freight recession. But if we can do it, considering the number of drivers that the clearinghouse took out of, how few people are going after that spot market freight, there's going to be a precipice where the worm turns, if you will. And if you can survive it, we'll get back into some fun times. So though it's a bit sad and it's necessarily something I'd start throwing streamers for, that's generally a sign that you're hitting that bottom. And if you hit that bottom, you're basically, from a business perspective, as an owner operator or as a truck driver, as an employee of a company, going, I've hit the bottom. Now I can make my way back up. I've survived the worst part. So that's encouraging. So like I said, it won't come off. It will hit the industry pages as kind of negative news. But truth be told, if you're in this for the long term, where you're not trying to survive just month to month, but ultimately want to be doing this 2-3 years from now too, that's not the worst thing in the world. Those negative stories are technically a good thing in the long run.
I actually would agree with you. Us finally hitting rock bottom is actually good news, because I feel like we're finally at the basement, and now we know we're about to go up. I'm like, thank you. We finally are hitting bottom. So I'm pretty excited about hitting bottom, because that means we're about to go up. Now, Pierson, I kind of want you to put on your analyst hat here, right? Not psychic, but analyst hat, or psychic if you want to be. Now, what do you see for 2024?
I would say overall, I think the challenge right now is we're going into an election year. As we've talked about before, most businesses don't really care if it's Republican or Democrat. They don't. They need to know what the playbook is. They want to know of, okay, going forward, what's the playbook going to be, so I can make decisions based off of that. Individuals will care if it's a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, what have you. But from a business perspective, a lot of times just having a clear understanding of what the playbook needs to be ends up being a big thing for a business. We don't have that. And so I would tell you that I suspect that the first and second quarter as an industry is probably going to be down versus the year before, or not be anywhere what it was 2 years ago. With that said, there's enough of warehouse space starting to open up. There's enough opportunities. And even in the spot market, you're seeing certain markets start to pick up again, beyond just it being the fourth quarter of the year. That would indicate that, look, the first and second quarter is probably not going to be that healthy and robust for the industry. But as we start going into the third quarter, and we start approaching election day passing, it gives me optimism about the second half of the year, especially leading into 2025. So I think the first two quarters probably stink from a freight level standpoint overall, with a couple of exceptions in certain markets or for certain niches of the industry. The lowering of prices on oil cannot be overstated. That is a great thing, especially for the folks that do rely on the spot market. Generally, that price goes all into that price you get off the spot market. So if fuel goes down, that gives a owner-operator all the way up to a large company running a spot load a little more money potentially in their pocket to operate that equipment. I don't see the spot market changing, but if demand stays low, fuel will go up, but it will not go up that sharply. Again, pending a world event or some major catastrophe or something weird. But as we talked about last week, I think it was, the U.S. is producing a bunch of oil right now, almost 14 million gallons a month. That's a big amount of oil into the world market, so that should hopefully keep prices down. So I think the name of the game is going to be in the first two quarters of the year running as efficiently and cost effectively as you possibly can. Don't assume anything in the industry is going to save you. You just have to be really tight. And then as we continue to push through the year, though, and hopefully maybe have some idea how the election might play out, where businesses can make some long-term plans. The Federal Reserve recently indicated that they're not going to lower interest rates. They had to do it in order to counter the inflation we were experiencing the past 3 years. But it's also hurt a lot of long-term investment. It's hard to borrow money when you're starting at a 7 to 10% interest rate on any type of loan. Makes it hard to borrow money to do something big without it being cost effective. The talk is next year that we could see 2 to 3 different rate cuts. That would also encourage some growth in the back half of the year, because some rate cuts would help in order to make borrowing more accessible for some long-term, large-scale projects.
I think
I'd also go ahead.
They're going to have to do that. Just just knowing economics, they're going to kind of have to do that. That's just part of the up and down with it all. But go ahead.
It's the hard part with inflation, because the Federal Reserve only has so many tools at their disposal to control the inflationary pressure. With that said, we've now gotten inflation. It appears that it's gotten under control. It's still a problem, and we can't go back. You don't want to go backwards on that. Deflation is worse than inflation. But with that said, if we can get in the spot where we're able to drop that interest rate, it would help, and it would appear that inflation has slowed dramatically compared to what we've experienced in the last 2 to 3 years. The price increases that we've seen just for general goods was just huge the last 2 to 3 years. So look, that's the second half of next year. If we have lowering interest rates, if inflationary pressures are under control, and there's a certain pent-up demand that comes from people need to purchase. There's a lot of opportunity there. We'll also have to see how this plays out. China continues to see a lot more of the business that would normally be produced in China going to other places, including Mexico and back to the U.S. in many cases. That's going to be one of the things to watch, is that trade deficit with China is going to be very telling, because a good chunk of that's going to Mexico under NAFTA. And that creates a lot of cool freight opportunities, in particular in the border states like Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. Creates a lot of freight opportunities down there too, as our supply chain's ever evolving.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. And I'm very excited about it. This is my excited face, by the way. But to piggyback on what we think, I do see like recruiting opening up a little bit. Not a lot, but I do see some movement for the first and second quarter. So I do feel optimistic. I don't think we're about to have this booming situation. So I definitely agree with you. The first and second quarter is not going to be like something historical, but I do feel that we are going to, we're going to be able to eat. We're not going to starve.
I think, and that's the thing though, with the drivers that got taken off the road and fewer of those people spot market chasing, we don't necessarily need it to boom. The littlest improvement could make a significant difference. And so, though it'd be cool to go, oh, freight went up tenfold. That's not going to happen, and I don't know that we need it necessarily to. If we can hold steady and look, if there's a year-over-year increase of 5%, considering our size and scale as an industry, 5% is a massive swing in freight.
I think you're right. I think just the clearing of the people that maybe weren't supposed to be here, and they might have been pandemic babies, if you will. So just clearing out some of the folk that needed to be cleaned out of our industry might be what is helping the movement, if we could say that in a nice way, right? That might be with the helpfulness and getting everything back started and so that those are good things, and so we can better prepare for quarter three. So I'm pretty stoked about it, because 2025 is going to be here before you know it, and then we'll already have the president and all of that good stuff. And like you said, businesses don't care who the president is. We just need the GPS to say what we're supposed to do and plan and go from there. So what I want to do is 100% go to commercial, any commercial of Kayla's choosing. And I want to jump right into hot jobs. I want to talk about what areas you want to focus on this week. I know we heading into Christmas and all that good stuff, but what areas of hot jobs you want to focus in on?
Absolutely. So, got 3 good options.
Okay, let's go to commercial, Kayla. You pick, Kayla.
Hello, everybody. I'm Anthony Davis. I'm a truck driver from Cleveland, Texas. I've been driving for 3.5 years now. I recently saw a podcast with Rig on Wheels on YouTube. I gave them a call. They was fast. They was efficient. They helped me out. I didn't really want to be over the road, so they got me a good regional job. And, hey, you should give them a call.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Okay, so Pierson is going to jump right in, and we're going to talk about the hot jobs. I know we're heading into the Christmas time, but we still need freight moving. That's for sure.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm gonna bring up Division 230 That's going to be the first one I bring up out of El Paso and the San Antonio markets, generally running the southwestern U.S. So you're going to go up to Northern California, occasionally Southern California, going back towards Phoenix, Albuquerque, El Paso, down into Del Rio and San Antonio. Good chunk of that business. About 60% of it's going to be Tesla related. Tesla's a very strong customer for us that remains very busy as far as our freight lanes go. It's a good opportunity where you're going to be at anywhere between $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 a week consistently. You're going to get home you're going to get home weekly, have a nice 34-hour reset at the house. It is a very consistent no-touch freight opportunity, especially in the wintertime. You're not going up north. You're not going to see a lot of snowy weather running the southwestern U.S. Tesla, as we continue to work with them as they move more and more of their freight over to their Austin facility and the gigafactory that's being built over there, that division will modify to fit into that. But definitely would say if you're talking to your recruiter and you live out of San Antonio or El Paso, I wouldn't hesitate to mention, hey, I'm interested in Division 230. A lot of opportunities there. And so, again, that's out of El Paso and San Antonio. That's one of the three that I would throw out there at this moment. Looking at different parts of the country. Go ahead.
How much are you making a week?
$1,500 to $1,700 a week. So very consistent on that end, week in and week out. When I say that they're at $1,500 to $1,700, literally 95% of the people that are in that division, if they worked for the week, they're in that range. And so it's consistent. Like I said, the backbone of that division is Tesla, and they've been a customer of ours for a long time at this point. So extremely consistent.
Love it. Okay, good. I always like to know. Show me the money.
Yeah,
like
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And at the end of the day, you got to be able to budget, because unless you're independently wealthy, you should not be doing this for free. There's a whole lot of hobbies that are a lot more fun than this. I love trucking, but I don't want to do it for free. I'm going to say the second division that I'd put out there would be Division 400. So if you live in the Nashville area, really good opportunity for us there. You're going to be coming out of central Kentucky, central Tennessee, going up towards central PA or upstate New York. So places like Harrisburg, Allentown, Scranton, Ithaca, New York, Bingham, going right back down into the central Midwest region and home. Earns about $90,000 to $95,000 a year, as we call it in our world, the Northeast. But anybody else's atlas, it is not the Northeast. We're not going into New York City. We're not going into New England. But what we will do is out of that area, we'll go up. You'll see a lot of our trucks on I-81 as an example. You'll see us along I-80. You'll see us with every resource and tool to run that particular division. 4 people on there, including pre-pass already being on the truck. But yeah, you're home every week. You're going to average about $90,000 to $95,000 a year. That's about $1,700 to $1,800 a week. All no touch, no endorsement needed. These are customers we've had with us going on decades now at this point, working with us. So they're customers that when they see a Blue Beast, an MVT truck come through their yard, the security guard's seen you before. They know who you are and they're excited to see you. So that's 400 out of Nashville. So if you're talking to your recruiter and you live out of the Nashville area within a 100-mile radius of Nashville, let them know that you're interested in the Division 400. They'll be able to help you and move you into that division very comfortably.
Okay, I always like to say this, or I always like when you say this. So let's say one of the Blue Beasts are somewhere in the Northeast that they're not supposed to be.
The truck's been stolen. The truck has been stolen. Law enforcement should be called. We have had a couple of occasions where we had a couple drivers want to go visit relatives. So like last year, we've had a couple times we were up in New England. It was not part of a division. It's literally, hey, we have somebody that has a relative up there that they'd like to visit. It's somebody that wanted the chance to participate in something. Outside of that, if you see our trucks, if you're going to a New England Patriots game and you see one of our trucks sitting at the stadium there in Foxborough, Massachusetts, somebody needs to ask some questions. Something has gone horribly wrong for us.
Okay. I always like that. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, please, just if you see our trucks, do not automatically think you need to call law enforcement. I may have an issue with our safety department here real quick. The last option that I will point out that's kind of a favorite of mine is what we call Division 10, and it's our quote-unquote OTR division. It's one that we'll label as running all 48 states, but we don't run all 48 states. The cool part of this division is we send you to where the freight is hottest. So as an example, we talked about how some markets are not like the others at this moment. A lot of freight tends to be spotty in certain areas of the country. This division, we point towards our fleets where the freight's hottest. So as an example, if you lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we're finding that, hey, we normally have a lane that we go through Denver, through Albuquerque and El Paso, but it seems to be really slow. The nice thing with Division 10 is we're not sending you everywhere. We're sending you within our network of freight where the freight's the busiest versus where the freight's the slowest. So that versatility allows somebody to be very consistent as well as a little variety in the job. They're out generally 10 to 14 days at a time before getting home, but their pay remains consistent. And the nice thing is doesn't matter what time of year it is, there's always one or two divisions that are going hotter than any others. And we are able to use this as a flex fleet. So as a driver, hey, let's send you to where your week's going to be the busiest. So it's a bit of an insurance policy. We have people that have been on this division for years that theoretically have had opportunities to get promoted up into other divisions that have declined because they like staying in this division because the freight is so consistent. So that job's going to be about $1,500 to $1,700 a week. Again, you're going to where freight's busiest. Looking for drivers presently living out of places like Salt Lake City, Utah, Albuquerque, Las Cruces, New Mexico, El Paso, San Antonio, Laredo, Del Rio, Texas, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Little Rock, St. Louis, anywhere in the state of Tennessee or Kentucky, or southern Indiana around the Louisville area. So if you live in those areas, again, Salt Lake City, Albuquerque, Las Cruces, New Mexico, El Paso, Del Rio, Laredo, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Little Rock, St. Louis, or anywhere in the state of Kentucky and Tennessee or southern Indiana, this is a good division because you're, again, going to where freight's busiest. You'll find that you go to some of the same places and over again because we do run engineered lanes. But the biggest thing there is to set you up for success. We want to go ahead and pre-plan 2 to 3 days in advance so you'll know where you're going. But because you're staying in our network of freight, when it's time to get home time, no matter where you are, we also have a plan on how to get you back. So when you tell your spouse, I'm going to be back this Saturday morning, you can make that claim because we're running you with network freight to get you back to the house. So it's our OTR division, but it's not true OTR. You're running in a set network of divisions. Just you're going to where the freight's the best. And so if Division 10, Division 400, or Division 230 sound real good to you, literally, if you talk to anybody there at 281-968-3100, tell them, hey, I listened to this podcast and I was really excited about this division. Your folks do a good job. Your folks know all about the divisions and will know exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Definitely give us a call at 281-968-3100 or go to the website at rigonwheels.com and fill out the Intella app and we'll give you a call. Now, what I was going to say, Pierson, is how often are they home with the Division 10?
Division 10 is normally out 10 to 14 days, home too. So with that said, it's not the same weekly home time. With that said, though, it's one of those divisions, too, that if there is a division that you call up that's closed, it is a nice backup. We're always hiring for Division 10. So as an example, I have a division called 329 that is basically intrastate Texas and South Oklahoma. Well, it's closed right now. I don't need to hire any more people. So let's say I lived in Dallas, Fort Worth, and I really want to do that intrastate Texas deal, but there's no openings. You can get onto Division 10. And before I open it to anybody else, before I call up Kameel here and say, hey, can one of your recruiters bring me some 329s? We go to Division 10 and hey, this division's just opened up. Would you have interest in this division? So by joining now, you get first dibs as those other opportunities open up. It's how we do dedicated opportunities. So when we have a new dedicated customer, we go to those drivers internally first that have already joined us, present the dedicated opportunity. They may say yes, they may say no. If they say no, there's no consequences. We'll offer the next opportunity and the next opportunity that comes up. But that Division 10 ends up being what I'd call the farm system for those new opportunities that exist. So if a new opportunity that's dedicated or a new division opens up, we go there first before we end up going to Kameel and saying, hey, can you bring us somebody for this new division that just opened up?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what I want to do is go to commercial, but I want to give you all a hint on what I want to talk about when we come back. So this past Thursday, I was at the African American Women in Trucking Gala. It was a scholarship gala where Zeta Driving School was there, and we spoke about scholarships basically, and raised money for scholarships for women and men, but women coming into the industry, and talk about safety. And I spoke briefly about with MVT how they're engineered lanes. So it's not a lot of issues when it comes to truck parking, which that is a huge issue when it has to do with safety. So when we come back in the next segment, I want to talk about that. I want to speak about what I said there and have a conversation with Pierson regarding that. So, Kayla, if you can take us to commercial, whatever commercial of your choice again. Look at Kayla. She's able to just like pick and choose, Kayla. Like, this is your day. Welcome back, everybody. So, like I said, I gave you all a hint on what we were going to talk about this segment, and gave Pierson a hint too, so he can be prepared because he didn't know either. But anyway, I thought I was so. This past Thursday, like I said, I spoke at the African American Women in Trucking Association Gala, and Zeta Truck Driving School was there, and it was to bring light. They match us dollar per dollar when it comes to scholarships for African American women getting into the industry and things like that. So one of the things that are issues for all truck drivers, but of course we were highlighting women coming into the industry, is safety. So one of the major things that we all talk about is truck parking. Their lack of is truck parking. So that's safety. That's a huge safety issue. Well, when I was up there talking, the company that immediately comes to mind is MVT. That's huge, engineered lanes. Well, a lot of companies don't say engineered lanes, so the thing that most people know is dedicated lane. So that's kind of what I said is dedicated lane. So there I was speaking dedicated lane. So when you have a dedicated lane, you don't really have to deal with truck parking issues as much, so that makes safety for the their drivers. That is a huge selling point as a recruiter. It makes it easier, but also when you have a driver coming to the company, but it is even more important when it's a woman coming into the industry, because it makes it huge. Safety for any driver, but as a woman, it is an even larger issue. So, Pierson, I want you to talk about that, but I did want you to let you know in that room, I brought that up in the company that I thought of, because that's how majority of all of it is ran at MVT, which is huge, because most companies are not like that. You have some dedicated lanes, but that's how it is at MVT.
Yeah, and it's one of the things our industry traditionally, historically, has not done a great job of recruiting women into our industry. We recognize women, statistically speaking, are extremely safe drivers. I won't share that with my wife because my driving would get judged. But statistically speaking, women are much less likely to have a fatality, as an example. They're much less likely to be late on a delivery. There is definitely a place for women in this industry as a driver, as well as a number of leadership roles. You now have the president of JB Hunt as female, the president and CEO of Sharp is female. Out of the top 100 trucking companies, 65 of the recruiting departments are led by females. So this is one of those things that as an industry, we recognize there's opportunity at bringing women into the workforce. There's a couple things that have been challenges for us, though, as an industry in doing that. One would be schedule, because most women, not all, but most women are the ones that take care of the young ones as they start a family. So when they re-enter the workforce, the problem is they have obligations at home with kids. And so schedule tends to be the first thing that prevents women from overwhelmingly getting into the industry. Once they get past the schedule part of that, then there's the safety element of it, of how can I operate as a woman on the road safely, not just taking care of freight, but for somebody's own well-being. And this is where MVT has a couple things going for it that other companies don't. From a schedule standpoint, it's not everybody's schedule, but with us doing engineered lanes, it's how we're able to say you're going to be out 4 to 6 days, or you're going to be out a week. We're able to set schedules, which thereby allows more women into the workforce, because it tends to be very attractive, even more so than the money part of it, is if you can create schedules, it allows work flexibility, which is both attractive to men, but in particular on women's end, statistically tends to be a bigger priority for women of a schedule. The second part of that equation, into what you touched base on while you were at the conference there, gets around safety. You are a sitting target going down the road. So let's say you have an electronics load and you have $500,000 worth of freight behind you in that 53-foot trailer. There are people that want that load. There are people that look at that as an opportunity. So the thing is as a driver, that puts you in a position of vulnerability. So there's steps that a company needs to take to make sure that the freight, and more importantly, you are in a good position that nothing will happen to you. We can't fix it. There will always be bad people with bad intentions. That's always going to be the case. As I've worded it, if you have 100 people, there's always going to be 2 assholes. It doesn't fail. That's just life. So the fact of the matter is with an engineered lane, most of the time, all of our lanes go through a location that we have, a terminal, a drop yard, a secure drop yard, something that you can park, have access to facilities, and be safe. There is no one coming around your truck. That is a big deal. Places like El Paso, Laredo, Del Rio, Nashville, Denver, Jacksonville, Salt Lake City, all these places that we have engineered lanes have secure parking areas for you and your vehicle. So that allows you the opportunity of not having to worry. It's why the most of our divisions park the truck at a yard when they take their home time. Because when you take your truck and you have to provide your own truck parking at your house, you have to have a home that you can do that, which not everybody does. Your apartment complex may not like you bringing a truck and trailer into the apartment complex. You don't have to worry. We provide that. When you're gone, your vehicle can be right there where your truck is parked. You come back, get back in your vehicle and drive off. You don't have to worry about having that equipment and being responsible for that equipment in front of your house or at an apartment complex, which can be difficult. The second key piece of that is when you're parked, when you're asleep, if you're out in the open, you're vulnerable, you don't have that worry at our yard. It is secure. There's people on duty. They're watching it for you. That is a big upside in keeping you safe. You will find that, I'm sure you'll find at some point we're going to go to a truck stop, but it's one of the reasons we work so closely with Love's, is Love's has the areas that we go to. Love's has secure lots available with a lot of security cameras and a lot of people doing checks on a routine basis. With that said, outside of that, most of our lanes are going to go through where you're going to go through a terminal and you're going to have secure parking, which is a big thing from a safety standpoint. It's why we have a lot of female drivers. And the big thing out of anything is we're one of the most diverse fleets that you're going to see in the country. There's not a stereotypical driver. If I talk to somebody outside of trucking, it's always interesting. And if I'm on an airplane, I like kind of picking their brain a little bit, seeing what they think of the trucking industry. There's still a lot of people that imagine Smokey and the Bandit, Hollywood cowboys or highway cowboys. That stopped a long time ago. They come from all walks of life. They're female, they're male, they're black, they're white, they're Hispanic, they're Muslim, they're Catholic, they're atheist. There's everything in between. There is not that stereotypical driver. And as a company, that is a great thing. It's our obligation at that point to make sure that it's welcoming to all those different walks of life. If we do that, the end product ends up being better. I tell anybody, it's the bone through the nose theory. So I at one point started a new business. And one of the best pieces of advice I got is they go, you need diverse opinions. You need people that think differently than you. They need to challenge your beliefs, and you got to recognize that's a good thing. So as an example, if you hired somebody and they came from some third world country that you couldn't even point to on a map and they got a bone through their nose, that's not a bad thing. You might be uncomfortable when you first see that because you're like, wait a minute, dude's got a bone through his nose. But that person's going to think differently than you, and they're going to challenge how you think. Now, on the flip side, you may hire Steve from Las Cruces, and Steve has a bone through his nose. Steve's a freak, and that's okay to acknowledge. Steve's a freak. And so that's the key thing from a business standpoint. Yep, that's as a business, we have to recognize how do we get diversity within our fleet, because we're going to be better off for it. It's going to be schedule. It's going to be unique job opportunities. It's going to be creating a collaborative and safe work environment. And if we do those things because we have that diversity, we're going to be much stronger as a company. While still going, hey, Steve from Las Cruces with a bone through his nose is a problem.
Yeah, that might be a problem. He might still be welcome, but it might be a problem because
he's going to go through an extra wave of interviews.
Right. Our shippers have Steve's like that too, right there.
Yep.
So there on the dock. He'll be right there on the dock, waiting to take in the load. So, but I definitely agree with you, and that is why MVT has women, a lot of women drivers. That definitely the schedule, the flexibility, all of that type of those are benefits right there.
We also. I'd also point out to it, though, that we have a lot of women in leadership positions, too. And this gets into that career development conversation for women.
Yeah.
My recruiting manager, Amy, female. Our VP of operations, Monica Fuller, female. Our VP of marketing, Jackie Jones, female. There's a lot of that throughout our organization. And so one of the things that we have to do a better job as an industry is talk about our industry to people that traditionally would have viewed trucking as somebody else's job. And it's having those conversations where you have a daughter, if you have a talk to them about trucking as a viable option, because it is. This does not mean that you have to be middle-aged, a white male to be in this industry. Though there's a place for those folks too, thank God, because, with that said,
we love you.
We have to talk positively about this to other people, that the opportunity exists. In fact, those people are needed. Our industry needs them.
Yeah, we need everybody. Actually, we need everybody, and that's what makes this industry great, and will continue to be great, and grow our economy. Because we need everybody. Literally, our economy looks like everybody within our industry. That's the reason why diversity is so important, but also the safety of us is important. So that's the reason why all of this needs to be highlighted. So,
but couldn't agree more.
We still love you too.
I appreciate it. I haven't developed a complex from this podcast yet, thankfully.
Definitely. So, but I did want to 100% highlight that because that was a main issue when I was at the gala, or something that I spoke about a lot when I was supposed to have a 3 to 5 minute speech, and don't give me the mic because I'm sure it wasn't 3 to 5 minutes. I'm just going to point that out. So that is something that I spoke about because that is a major issue for truck drivers. So like I said, I will always advocate for the professional truck driver. And that is an issue that we need to consistently advocate for. And that's the safety of our drivers, all drivers, not just women, but it was a gala for women. So I want to go ahead and if we could play the commercial with the handsome gentleman talking about the car giveaway, because I want Pierson to then talk about the fuel incentive and the car giveaway in the leaderboard when we come back. Kayla.
Mi nombre es Carlos Vázquez. Tengo trabajando 3 años aproximadamente y somos B1 y andamos en territorio de Estados Unidos. Lo que me gusta de MVT es que tiene buenos viajes, buenos camiones y muy buenas millas. Mi comunicación con el despacho es muy buena y todo eso, y siempre están a la orden del día. ¿Qué pienso del equipo de los camiones? Pues que están muy bien y les dan sus mantenimientos, su tío y todo lo demás, alineación y balanceo, todo, cambio de llantas y excelente servicio. La compañía cada trimestre regala un auto para los operadores. Me motiva pues a crecer más como persona y para dar el 100, como dicen, para la compañía.
I want us to get a refreshed commercial with the new driver appreciation, because I am just so elated about them because they were with MVT for a very short time and won. So that was pretty awesome. And then the guy that, what was it, 12? Say that again. What was his?
12.6 miles a gallon.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, he's like.
Oh, I didn't think it was possible, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of want his autograph, but I want to get refreshed commercials, so I'm gonna have to steal those from MVT. Borrow. I guess I shouldn't say steal on it. That's negative, but but let's go ahead and talk about that because I want to especially highlight the career development part of it, because I think that is the most important part, is how actually MVT prides itself, or I feel that MVT prides itself on developing the drivers to actually win the car. So,
yeah, we have a really strong list of resources available to the driver here. As we've talked about before in trucking, once you get the equipment, once you picked up the freight, there's only a couple ways you can run more efficiently. It's either cutting driver pay or figuring out how you get more bang for your buck out of the oil that you use. We're not going backwards on driver pay. It'll be a cold day in hell that happens. So we focus on fuel, and how we do that is getting the best fuel economy possible. In an industry where we average about 6.5 miles a gallon, our fleet average is about 9 to 9.5 miles a gallon. That's not luck. It's a combination of good equipment, of lanes that are friendly to getting the best fuel economy, but most importantly, driver behavioral habits are the big difference in there at that point. So we work with our drivers to get the best fuel economy possible. Like I said, the team last month that got the driver or got the fuel championship or the best fuel on the fleet had been with us 9 months. So it's not necessarily the 20-year vet that's doing it. When I say they've been with us 9 months, I mean they've been in trucking for 9 months. So it is definitely doable. You have to be patient. You have to pre-plan accordingly. And you have to understand, how do I get the most out of it? When do I use cruise control? What do I do going down a hill, up a hill? How do I plan on making a delivery? Or when do I go to a city that has bad traffic in my pre-planning? This can be done. It's not one specific division or lane that can do it. They've come from all over the fleet. And we work with our drivers to do that between our fleet manager and our driver services department. And this driver services department are there to work with the driver on getting the best fuel economy possible, along with a number of other things that drivers like to work on towards career development goals. So as an example, let's say this last quarter, you'd see on a list that, hey, I'm middle of the pack when it comes to fuel economy. I'm not doing bad. I'm not the bottom 10%, but I'm nowhere near the top of it. But I'd really like to go ahead and take this over. That between the fleet manager and driver services, they will work diligently together to come up with a game plan. It's looking at your equipment. The computer systems in the truck now can tell us all sorts of diagnostic information on the truck, how it's being operated. Are we getting the most out of it? It's planning, all right, hey, if I'm on this division, what do I need to know to get the best fuel economy out of this division? And between that, ultimately, if you're able to get to the top, we end up giving a brand new car to whoever gets the best fuel economy for the quarter. So 4 times a year during our driver appreciation events, which we are not like most companies, we don't do it once, we do it 4 times, which gives us the chance to visit people face to face more often, which means a little bit more to us. We give a car to whoever got the best fuel economy, and it changes routinely on who's won that. We had a team with 9 months of experience get it the last quarter. The quarter before that, the gentleman that won that one literally was middle of the pack on fuel economy, wasn't doing bad, but got serious about it. And it's not luck, it's planning and it's work that allow that to happen. He got 12.4, the team just got 12.6 miles a gallon. Brand new car, easy for us, is a great trade-off on that end. They get bragging rights. And look, you want your job to stand out. If you come running into your house and you drive a brand new car into your driveway, your spouse, your kids are going to get to see, oh crap, mom and dad are tearing it up at work. They'll literally get to see it. Additionally, and this is where it gets also competitive, whoever gets the best fuel economy for the year. So you may just be in the running each quarter, but never win the quarterly one. But if you win it for the year, there's a $25,000 bonus for whoever gets it on the annual basis. We have one driver that won it 4 years. That's an extra $100,000 in their pocket over the 10 years that they've been with us. So it is doable. You don't necessarily have to win every quarter to get that. You could go a whole year you could be in the top 10, but never really win. But over the course of the year, it's kind of that turtle and the hare race. In this case, he was the turtle. He was never out in front, but by the time the finish line came, he had pulled off the race there to get the $25,000 bonus. So it's eligible to every driver that is assigned to a truck. So if you're running local and you might be slip seating on a truck, that doesn't necessarily happen for you. But on the flip side, if you are assigned a truck and you're running Division 400 or Division 10 or 230, like we talked about today in our hot jobs, all those divisions are eligible to do it. And people have won from those divisions in the past. So all divisions that are doable to make that happen.
Good. Now, what I want to talk about, if you can give us like 3 to 5 tips or behavior habits for the fuel savings.
Yep. When possible, start your day early so you can end your day early. Traditionally, if you can get out of a city zone where you're starting your day at 4 a.m. as an example, that's a big deal. Some divisions like Division 4 tend to do more nighttime driving. You'll get better fuel economy because you're dealing with fewer cars on the road that you're competing with. Do not be in a hurry to pass people. Passing people does not help you all that much. Just because you want to get into the left lane, if it means that you have to go 50 miles, a couple miles per hour slower than you feel comfortable doing, that is a small sacrifice considering that when you try to accelerate to pass somebody at a high speed, it eats fuel. You're not on vacation. A lot of drivers become drivers because they want to see the country. It's different traveling somewhere on vacation than being a professional truck driver. So if you're in your personal vehicle and you're in Kansas and go, oh, I want to stop and see the world's largest ball of twine. Well, on vacation, you can stop. As a truck driver, you still get to do it too, but you're seeing it at 60 miles an hour down the road.
Right.
You do not want to continuously stop. The more you get on and off that interstate, as an example, the more you use fuel economy up. It's why a lot of our drivers try to stay hydrated, but they also kind of are strategic about when and how much water they drink, trying to work out their day's plan. The fourth thing, keep a clean truck. It sounds like a small thing. We have a goal that we want to have 75 trucks a day get cleaned coming through El Paso. A clean truck gets better aerodynamics. So it's not just pride of ownership of looking good for the customer. A clean piece of equipment, generally on average, going to get 1/10 of a mile per gallon better than a dirty truck. Last but not least, it really comes down to having that open communication with your fleet manager. And this sounds kind of unrelated, but it goes with it, so that you can pre-plan, so that you know what your next 2 to 3 loads are, so that you have a game plan of what's realistic versus not realistic. Don't assume that fleet manager sees what's on the road that you see. Just like we can't assume what's going on down the road because we don't have those same set of eyes. So there's a lot of things like construction, weather that can definitely impact your fuel economy that we want to have that conversation. Overshare with your fleet manager. If you overshare with your fleet manager, you can game plan when trucking does not go right. Having a plan makes a big difference in better fuel economy as well as safety and a whole list of other positives from it. You will find one of the common trends of the winners of the quarterly giveaway have really close relationships with their fleet manager. The fleet manager knows how they like to run, vice versa. The drivers know the fleet manager's obligations and what they're trying to accomplish. That communication tends to go side by side with the people that are getting the best fuel economy.
Awesome. So I just want to make sure I got them all down. Start your day early, end your day early. Don't get on and off the highway too much. It's not sightseeing. Plan your day. Like, keep your truck clean and have open communication with your fleet manager.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, I could go
good.
down another list of 5, but trust me, we want to keep this within an hour.
Okay, but that sounds good. But I like that. That's good and simple rules to live by. Good top 5. Okay, good. Yep. So what I want to do is go to commercial and let's go to the tall human that's talking about the blue beast and how big it is and innovative and all of that good stuff, because I like him because he is tall, so it's showing how big the condo is inside of the MVT truck and everything that's inside of it and all the good stuff, and it's a double sleeper. So if you could do that for us, Kayla, before we leave for the day.
At Mesilla Valley Transportation, every driver is behind the wheel of a late model International LT, a truck that takes comfort, convenience, and safety to a whole new level. Join us as we explore the impressive features of this powerhouse on wheels. The open road is full of surprises, and sometimes that includes unexpected encounters with wildlife. But worry not, the International LT has you covered. The front end protection guard offers an extra layer of defense, protecting you from animal strikes. Drive with confidence, knowing that you're shielded from the unexpected. We all know how important it is to keep our batteries charged, and our International LTs have your back. The Cummins X15 is equipped with an auto start feature, ensuring that your batteries are automatically recharged when they run low on volts. It's a seamless process that keeps you powered up and ready to hit the road. Disc brakes and an engine brake provide reliable and safe stopping power when you need it most. You can have peace of mind knowing that you're in control. Safety is at the forefront of what we do. Our International LTs are equipped with top-of-the-line safety features to ensure your well-being while out on the road. These tractors are equipped with Bendix fusion protection, collision mitigation, and lane departure warning. Achieving good fuel efficiency deserves recognition. With the International LT, your efforts don't go unnoticed. When you consistently achieve impressive miles per gallon, the International LT rewards you with increased speed. It's a little extra motivation to keep you pushing for better fuel economy. After a long drive, you're ready for a well-deserved break. With the International LT, you can enjoy your rest period in absolute comfort. Thanks to its auxiliary power unit, you can keep the driver's cabin heated or cooled just the way you like it. No matter the weather outside, you'll always find your sweet spot within our International LT. The International LT understands that comfort extends beyond driving. It's a space where you can truly feel at home. I'm a big guy, and I have room to move around in here. With plenty of room to spare, the International LT accommodates even the tallest drivers. And there's ample storage for all your clothes, cooking essentials, and tools, making life on the road even more convenient. Speaking of cooking, bring along your appliances and don't sacrifice any luxuries thanks to all of our International LTs being equipped with built-in inverters. Dry your hair, make a smoothie, or play a game, all from the comfort of your truck. We take pride in our well-maintained fleet. And if by chance you do come across something wrong on your truck, you're never far from help thanks to our valuable relationship with Penske. With more than 750 brick-and-mortar Penske shops nationwide, their expert team is always ready to assist you. From routine maintenance to unexpected repairs, they'll get you taken care of and back on the road in no time. And there you have it. Just a few things about this late model International LT that make MVT the place to be.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. So, Pierson, did you have anything to add about the Blue Beast, or did he do a fantastic job?
He does a great job of it. I love Joe. Joe's a good folk, one of the good guys with us here. I will say this, so it gets great fuel economy. It's extremely spacious. We understand as a driver, you're only as good as the resources you're provided, both inside the truck as well as out. That truck is generally going to be 2020 or newer. I can tell you we have about 700 new ones coming in next year to replace 700 on the back end. So we replenish those trucks continuously on that 3-year cycle to make sure that you have the best equipment possible. For being really what is a regional engineered lane company, we have equipment that's good enough to be true OTR equipment. So instead of a 56-inch sleeper berth, which is kind of that base model common version, we have the 71-inch sleeper berth. Imagine a sleeper berth that's made for a team, but mostly driven by a solo driver so that you can be comfortable in there. With the APU units, you normally have 4 to 5 different plugs. So you can have your refrigerator. We have people that play PlayStations inside of their trucks on their off-duty hours. So it offers you that versatility of having a life while you're in the truck, on top of when you get out of the truck, having the team that will support you. Penske and us have a very close relationship. So the advantage of leaving the truck at the yard is Penske gets the opportunity to stay up on the PMs, general maintenance on the truck. Additionally, because of what we have set up with Penske, we have running lanes that run along Penske's network. So God forbid, let's say you left Dallas and you start running into an issue on the truck. They happen to have a facility in Amarillo. So if you're going from Dallas to Denver, but something comes up, they're not far away from you. God forbid, they can go get the truck. They also have financial obligations to make sure you are in a working piece of equipment, even if it requires you to have a loaner during one of your loops or engineered lanes, and then go back into the truck that you prefer. That's available. Penske's a really good partner for us. And so we have great equipment, but if anything ever goes wrong with it, we have backup plans and a backup to the backup plan to keep you running smoothly.
I love it. I love it. I love a plan. Love a good plan. Well, with saying that, we have come to an end. We have definitely come to an end on this Tuesday. But definitely, if you are looking for a new opportunity, any of those three or any other trucking opportunity, if you would give us a call at 281-968-3100, 281-968-3100. We are here to help you out, or go directly to our website at rigonwheels.com and fill out the Intella app, and we will be there to help you out ASAP. We will be back Tuesday next week, same time, Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Almost gave the wrong time. Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Something else you want to say, Pierson?
Coming up on Christmas, the back end of the year, spend as much time as possible with your loved ones. Let people know that you care about them. Life is short. You never know when our time on this earth is going to be coming to an end. So it's always important to take those opportunities to let your family know how you feel about them, as well as your coworkers. Since we spend so much time working with folks, don't ever leave something up to guess. And so take that opportunity as we close out the year and get ready to start 2024.
Yes, yes. And happy holidays, everybody. See you next week. Bye.